Hello and welcome. This week I'm going to be reading some books about weird beauty products and the weird girls who use them. Of course, I'm going to be reading Rouge. I'm also going to be reading Natural Beauty, Youthjuice, and one that I have already read, and that is Ravishing. So we can start there. Ravishing is an arc that I got through NetGalley, so I'm not going to be spoiling that one because that feels unfair. It is about a beauty product cream that you put on your face and completely rearranges it. It's nanoparticles. The science behind it makes no sense, and I love it. But you have this consultation, and you have this 3D model of your face that you manipulate to look however you want. And then they specially formulate the cream for you, and every time you use it, rearranges your face. Ravishing is a dual POV between a brother and sister. They're both Indian. The sister uses the product, and the brother works at the startup that makes it. This book was really interesting and different than I expected because instead of it being a critique of the beauty industry for pushing Eurocentric beauty standards on people of color and whitewashing them, which the beauty industry does, we know that. That's not what this book is about. And I thought that that was cool and interesting. This book is more about family and trauma and abandonment and the erasure of your culture from your parents. In this book, Kashmira, she is alienated from her culture from her father. He doesn't let her befriend any other Indian girls at the school. He doesn't let her go to dance classes. They just don't interact with their culture at all. And eventually he abandons the family. These aren't spoilers. This is all at the very beginning of the book. This really affects her because she looks like her father. That's the only thing she sees when she looks in the mirror, and it just brings up all of this trauma. So she's really drawn to this beauty product because it'll allow her to erase her father from her face, and then she can be involved in her culture without seeing her dad, being reminded of her dad, and just all of the trauma that comes with that. Kashmir's brother, who works at the company, also knows that she's really insecure because she looks like her father. So he sees the value in the product like she does as a way to kind of heal trauma. And so he really pushes for it as an alternative mental health product. And I thought that that was a really interesting perspective too. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to spoil it. I feel like that's not fair since this is an arc and it doesn't come out until November. It is a debut and it reads like a debut at times, but overall I gave it 4 stars. I did really enjoy it, and if you like this kind of book, I recommend picking it up. The next book I'm reading is Youthjuice. I am maybe 20% into it, but I will check in once I am halfway through, tell you guys what I think, what's going on. I think it'll be spoilers for the rest of these books. Good morning. Sorry my hair is wet. I just took a shower and I wanted to pick up Youthjuice, but before I read more, I wanted to check in with y'all because I'm about 50% in. Youthjuice is about Sophia. She is a 29-year-old girl and she gets a job at Hebe, which is this wellness skincare company. And she's a Hebe believer. She has products before even working there. Tree, the CEO founder, immediately takes a liking to her, gives her this hand cream and asks her to test it out for the company, gives her this notebook and is like, write down your thoughts. And she takes it, she gets home and she puts it on, and she chronically bites her nails and her cuticles, but to an extreme. She rips chunks of skin out, and she does this compulsively, she cannot stop. So she puts on the cream, goes to bed, and she wakes up, and when she takes these bandages off these raw open wounds, they're fully healed. All of the scars from biting at her nails since she was in middle school are gone. So this is a huge deal because she's super insecure about all of these cuts and scars on her hands. So she wears gloves, these lace gloves, everywhere she goes. So she goes to work, she goes to Tree, and she's like, what is in this? This healed all of my opened wounds and my scars. That's crazy. And Tree's like, that's a secret because it's still in testing. So Hebe has a whole bunch of interns all the time. They're all young, rich, 20-something-year-old perfect girls. So Sophia's on this bus with all of the interns, and it catches fire. And as all of these interns are rushing off of the bus, Sophia's just kind of stuck there in a state of calmness. She's clearly in shock and is kind of like, oh, I'm gonna die. The bus is gonna blow up. And is okay with it. And then eventually there's like room for her to get out. She snaps out of it. She gets off the bus. And all these interns are like freaking out and crying and calling their moms and their boyfriends and everyone, being like, I just almost died. And Sophia's like, I could call my roommate slash best friend, but she wouldn't care. And I could call my boyfriend and he would overreact, freak out, come pick me up. So she just doesn't tell anyone. After everything's like calmed down and the police get there and they're like investigating what caused the fire, Tree is like, okay, everyone, you can either take a taxi home or a taxi to my apartment and I'll buy us all dinner. And the taxis are on the company, so whatever you want to do. So everyone goes over to Tree's for dinner and she orders some vegan Mexican food because everyone in this company is vegan. And Sophia's like kind of still in shock and she's just wandering along. So Tree like gives her some horchata and Sophia starts drinking it. She gets really tired and kind of just passes out. When she wakes up, she is the only one left. All of the interns are gone. And she tries to find Tree and she finds her taking a bath. And in this bathtub is blood. She's bathing in blood. And Sophia is like, what the fuck? And Tree sees her and she's like, oh my god, finally you're awake, and gets out of the bathtub. She's fully naked, as you are in the bathtub, and blood is just like kind of dripping off of her. Sophia is obviously freaked out and she's like, is that blood? And Tree's like, of course it is. Don't you know the best thing for your skin is blood? What do you think is in that cream I gave you? And Sophia's like, that is disgusting. And Tree's like, you should try it. And Sophia's like, fuck, I do want to be beautiful. She gets in the bathtub, bathes in the blood, goes under it so she's fully submerged, and then like drinks some. And her inner monologue is like, I'm telling myself I'm doing this to like play along and see how awful it is, but I know I want this too. And Sophia's like, where did all of this blood come from? And Tree's like, the interns. And it's Sophia doesn't seem to think that she like killed the interns. I think she killed the interns. But so after this like traumatizing day of almost dying in a bus fire and then bathing in blood and seeing your boss naked, she goes home and is like zoned out on the couch watching Care Bears, like probably still drugged from the horchata, honestly. And her boyfriend comes home and is like, I have not heard from you in 24 hours. What is going on? And she's like, it's been a long day. And he's like, this is so unlike you. This is insane. Are you not committed to me anymore? And she's like, I don't really want to get married. And before, she's been talking about how she's going to marry this man. This is her dream man. I don't quite get why he's her dream man. He's like hot and nice, but doesn't seem to have a personality beyond that. And he leaves the apartment, and she's like, I wonder if we're broken up, and just has no emotions about it. Later, her roommate comes home, and her roommate is like a trust fund party girl. And they go hang out in her room, and her roommate, I can't remember her name right now, is like, what is up with you? You have changed so much since working at Hebe. You are a different person. All you care about is work. Sophia's like, yeah, well, I have to work for a living. I can't just live off of pills and my grandparents' inheritance. And her roommate is like, oh, you're such a bitch. Jesus Christ. Yeah, eat the rich. But you benefit from my wealth too, because she's living in this beautiful apartment and like only paying utilities. And Sophia goes and like grabs her purple notebook that she was supposed to take notes from, the like hand cream that she gave her, and like threw it at her and was like, well, if you're gonna be a bitch, get out. So she gets back to her room and she starts flipping through this notebook, and the first sections are all about like the texture of the cream, how it feels on her hands, the viscosity, all these like observations about the cream. And as she keeps flipping through, the pages get kind of like more of a mess. The handwriting is less neat, it's bigger, it's scribbly. There's an entire page just full of the company's tagline over and over and over again. Sophia has no memory of writing all this down. So she just assumes her roommate did it in like a drug bender fueled delirious state, and just kind of like leaves it at that. So Sophia, every time something weird happens, just fully dismisses it and is like, wow, that's so weird. That's so interesting. and just like dismisses it because she is fully into Hebe. She loved the products before, and now that she's getting all this attention, Tree is kind of like giving her this attention, being like, you're so great at this. This is perfect. Like, I feel like I can trust you. Kind of like grooming her to become like someone higher up in the company, which is interesting because she has no experience in what she's doing. All she's ever been is a barista. And even when she gets the job, one of her like coworker friends is like, "Oh, what were you doing before this?" And at first she lies and says that she was doing the same kind of work for her roommate who has like a successful blog despite being a party girl trust fund kid. And then afterwards is like, "I lied, I was a barista." And the coworker is like, "How did you get this job?" Sophia was like, "I don't know, I think Tree liked my astrology chart. She really liked my like rising, moon, and sun signs." And the coworker is like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. She has the star charts of everyone in this company to see how everyone will work with each other." So she was like truly hired off of vibes, which feels nefarious. I don't know about you, but I think Tree wants to bathe in her blood. But that's where I've stopped reading because I was like, I have to tell you guys about that. I have a haircut that I have to leave for in like 10 minutes. So I'm going to be reading while I'm on the bus. And my hairdresser, love her to pieces, is always running late. So I'll probably read in the lobby for a little bit. Who knows? Maybe I'll finish the book and I'll come back and give you guys the rest of my thoughts and a little summary on it. And then after that, I think I'm going to read Natural Beauty. I think I'm going to save Rouge for the end because I have the actual physical copy, but we'll see. So it is one haircut in many hours later, and I have finally finished Youthjuice. So when we last left off, I believe Sophia had just broken up with her boyfriend, had just gotten in a big fight with her best friend, and witnessed her boss strip down naked after bathing in blood, and then she stripped down naked and bathed in blood. And you may not be surprised to hear that the book just gets weirder from there. So after her fight with her roommate Dominique, she gets a text from her that's kind of just like, "Hey, this is suspicious. Why are all your interns going missing? Something is happening." And Sophia like freaks out about that and is like, "Oh my god, she's gonna find out we're killing the interns for their blood to make us look young." So she tells Tree, and Tree is like, "We have to do something about this." So they stage a heroin overdose, literally pin her to the ground and shoot her up. And then instead of like calling the police and be like, "Oh my god, my roommate overdosed," which would have made sense, she is an active addict, Sophia keeps her in her bathroom. She buys formaldehyde on Amazon. Don't know if you can do that. And like injects that into her so she stays like not decomposing so fast. And throughout the rest of the book, she'll like go into her bathroom and be like, "Oh my god, Dom, like things are so bad." And like talk to her. There's like a scene where she like puts Dominique in her bed and like lies next to her. And it's like, she's so gorgeous now that her face doesn't move because that causes wrinkles and wrinkles are bad. So that's happening. Sophia gets invited to Tree's apartment for this like very secretive party. She gets there and it's all like influencers and they're told to wear white and they get invited in, they're mingling. Tree comes out and is like, "Come with me." It's kind of like an unveiling of the new product. So Tree invites them into this secret room and there's just giant bathtubs of blood and everyone is like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." And they get into these giant bathtubs of blood fully clothed, but they're all wearing white per the invitation's request. And it like turns see-through, obviously. So these people are like essentially naked bathing in blood and no one questions it. No one. Except apparently one person, because afterwards they go to the police, and Tree is like, "Whoever narked on us is definitely off our PR list." Crazy. Have a rational reaction to that. Sophia's kind of just like, "This is fucked up, but my skin has never looked better." One of Sophia's coworkers is like, everything happening here is super strange. Why do our interns keep going missing? Because it's like a secret that only like 4 people in the company know. And Sophia's like, has a panic attack and runs out essentially. And then later, this coworker bestie is like, meet me at this park. And Sophia goes to the park, and the coworker never shows up, but she sees Tree like take a seemingly homeless man into the woods. And then I don't think they come back out together, or maybe they do. I don't know. Weird stuff happens. She sees this, and then she never sees her coworker bestie again. She doesn't show back up to work. Police show up. They say there's a missing persons report, and everyone gets questioned. And a couple days later, Tree is like, oh, she left to Prague. She bought tickets to Prague without telling anyone and ran away. And like, no one really believes her, but they just go along with it. After this, Sophia starts seeing missing posters for all of these interns that mysteriously disappeared, and she starts collecting them. Girl, if the police find that, they're gonna think you did it. They're gonna think these are trophies. And she just has them in her apartment, the same apartment that her ex roommate best friend's body is decaying in the bathtub in, mind you. So, like, hopefully no one comes. Crazy. I was so stressed reading about that. All of this happens. The vibes in the office are so off because there's no interns left. And all of a sudden, Tree and another woman who works there just like start looking terrible. They look awful. Their skin is terrible. They have like eczema and their like skin is sagging. And Sophia's like, what the hell is going on? And then one day they start wearing veils to work, so you can't even see their faces. And this entire time, Sophia's like, that's so chic. Oh, they look like a beautiful, chic mourning widow. Literally crazy. One day, Sophia goes into Tree's office and is like, hey, we need to talk. My hands are covered in scars again. Youthjuice, the name of the product, has stopped working. And Tree like takes off her veil, and her skin is like flaking off. Chunks are falling off. She has no more fat left on her face because it all just keeps falling off, and it like comes together in this like mass that starts like beating like a heart. And crazy. After this, Sophia is like, oh my God, taking all these people's blood is not even worth it because you don't stay beautiful. So she goes to the police and like tells on all of them, and Tree is mad at her and spits in her face. Um, and then the book ends with an epilogue of Sophia had taken over the company and is working with some scientist to essentially create the same product. Girl learned fucking nothing. And she's like, I don't even know what's in it, but it's just as potent as before. Girl, it's probably more blood. It is probably just blood again. Probably. And oh my God, they spun it as this like PR thing where she's like, yeah, this company has a dark past, but we're doing this for the victims. Girl, be so fucking for real. During all of this, there's also like an underlying storyline of Sophia and her best friend through like middle school and high school. Her name is Mona. And in this background storyline, she's getting groomed by the grown man who works at the like bodega kind of near their school. And she'll go and like flirt with him and like buy Arnold Palmer's and coffee. And then one day he like takes her out in the back alley and like makes out with her. And she's like, oh my God, we're dating now and we're in love. And during this time, her best friend Mona is like losing it. She clearly has an eating disorder. She's like rapidly losing weight and just like constantly popping pills. One day she has like a seizure in class, and Sophia doesn't visit her in the hospital because she's like, that's too real. I can't do that. And later, when she's out of the hospital, goes to visit her, and Mona's upset with her, and Sophia's upset. And that kind of like is where the start of the fracture of their relationship is. And throughout this, you just see Sophia getting closer with this man that's grooming her and like distancing herself from Mona. And Mona is just getting worse and worse. And Sophia just like doesn't care because she's so excited to have this attention from this like older man. She doesn't know how old he is. Eventually, Sophia and Mona go to the pool together, and these like popular girls come up and get mad at them because like the pool is their turf, and they take sunglasses off of Sophia's face and smashes them. And Mona like loses her shit and like attacks them, tackles them into the pool. It's this whole thing. The lifeguard has to come and pull them apart, and they leave the pool. And Sophia's like, "This was more than my glasses. Like, please tell me what is going on." And Mona like is not having any of it, so she walks away. Sophia follows her, but Mona doesn't realize that she's following her, and she walks to the bodega where she sees Sophia's boyfriend, and they go into the back alley, and they are clearly together as well. And so Sophia like loses her shit. She runs away. She's like, I don't care if they see me. And she goes back to Mona's house, goes into the tree house in their backyard, takes like two mysterious pills she just finds there, and then sneaks and watches Mona through the windows of her house and see her just like sitting in front of the TV eating pills like popcorn. So she's just through the window watching this, not at all concerned. And Mona starts like seizing. So she runs to get the spare key. She runs inside. Mona's not on the couch. She's at like the top of the stairs. Sophia goes over, and Mona like something, she like doesn't do anything. She just kind of watches her. And then Mona falls down the stairs and hits like the basement cement floor. So Sophia like goes home, runs, hides in her room. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't call the police, and Mona dies. It's not like explicitly said that she dies, but she dies. Um, and so that is like sprinkled throughout the story and is kind of the reason that Sophia like anxiously chews on her hands and her fingers and rips off chunks of her skin. And it's like seemingly like because of the guilt of not helping her friend and watching her friend die and not doing anything about it and like abandoning her while she clearly is struggling. And this just leads her to like self destruct all of her relationships later on in her life. Truly, this entire book was insane, and no one was morally good in this book. Everyone was a terrible person. When Tree's face started falling off and then like forming its own living mass and beating away, disgusting. That one got me. It was, I will say, it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but once you hit that bathing in blood scene, it like really, really picks up from there. And it felt intentional. I liked that. So if you skipped out the spoilery section of this review and are curious if you should read this book, I do recommend it. I'm saying 4 stars or a high 3.5. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit before I give a true rating. I finished it literally 15 minutes ago. But so this book is a horror about the beauty industry and the lengths that someone will go to stay looking young. Um, Definitely a little bit gory. So if you're not into that, maybe not a good one for you. And it is a little bit slow in the beginning. I'll say up until the halfway point, I was like, this is not the weird girl book I thought it was going to be. But after that, it definitely was. It ramps up very quickly and it stays up the entire time. There isn't really any character development in this book. It's kind of the opposite. You see her become a worse person throughout this book, but you also see kind of like what led her to that and also what in her past made her susceptible to this. That brings me to the next book I'm going to be reading, which is Rouge. If you cannot tell, this will be a reread for me. I actually read this book the day it came out. I want to say I read it in one or two sittings, and it's actually signed because while she was on the book tour for it, I went to an interview at like a local bookstore near where I worked and got it signed. And I will forever be upset that I forgot to bring Bunny and All's Well to get signed by her too. Okay, while we're talking about it, I have to show you All's Well. I have the most beautiful cover for it. Look how stunning she is. The American cover is so bad. So I bought a used European one. I love Mona Awad. I am so excited for I Love You Bunny, and we'll definitely be doing a vlog for rereading Bunny and reading the prequel. But that's later. That's not till the end of September unless I get an arc. We'll see. I'm not holding out hopes because my NetGalley review rating is like 75% right now because I have a book on my shelf I haven't reviewed yet. And I like made a new account because I really neglected my old one. I will check in when I am like 50% into Rouge or if something fucked up happens that I want to talk about. I can't remember how this book starts. I remember the general vibes of the book, but I read it so quickly last time that I really did not absorb a lot of it. So I'm excited to get back into it. It is a couple more days later than I wanted it to be, but I have in fact finished Rouge. Unfortunately, in the process of reading this, it did get water damaged. I don't know if you can see it. I guess a little bit. But yeah, I took it to yoga and because I read it on the bus on the way there, and it like got put in something spilled on the ground and now it's all I guess it's not too bad but it got water damaged and it stained my bag red, which is fine. It was like a free tote from Brooklyn Inn, but tragic. But the signature in the front is unscathed. So all is well. This book is 5 stars. This book is better than I remember it being. I think this book committed the crime of not being bunny and people wanted another bunny and they expected another bunny, and this book is not bunny. It's still like the weird surrealist that bunny is, but like a very, very different story. This book is about Mirabelle, and she's in the depths of grief coming back from Montreal to Canada after her mom suddenly passed away. She was like 60 something, still fairly young, and like fell off a cliff into the seaside and died. Mirabelle goes back home, and it seems like her only coping mechanism is skincare. During her mom's funeral, she goes upstairs to watch her favorite beauty YouTubers' routines to kind of calm down and take a break. And she has a very elaborate skincare routine, night and day, of acids and creams and mists and hydrators and all these different things. And she goes through in a special dotting technique and a special order, and she like switches it up based on what acid she wants to try that day. Her skin barrier could not be doing well, but I digress. This obsession kind of stems from when she was a child. Her mom was also really into skincare, was nowhere near as elaborate as Mirabelle's routine. It was just like one cream, but it was every single day and every night her mom would put it on, and she would watch her mom use the skincare product, and she would always go like, "Oh, Mirabelle, like we all need to take care of ourselves, but you don't have to worry about it. Your skin's beautiful. I wish I had skin like yours." And that's because Mirabelle's mom, Noelle, is a white French Canadian lady, and Mirabelle is mixed. Her father is Egyptian. She's always saying stuff about how she wishes she had her beautiful olive skin, her beautiful brown skin, but Mirabelle kind of knows that this is not true because her mom also talks about how the sun is her enemy and she can't go out in the sun because it damages her skin and makes it darker. So while Maribel is at her mom's condo, like getting ready to pack it up and everything, she sees these red skincare jars everywhere. I kind of picture the like Olay skincare jars, but anyways, she sees these all over the house and she's like, "Oh, this must have been Mother's secret." Because she would always ask her mom what products she's using, and her mom would always be like, "Oh, Maribel, you don't need these. These are my secrets. You don't need these." And her mother would also at the same time make fun of Mirabelle or tease Mirabelle for the skincare products she's using and then later use the same products. While Mirabelle's at her mom's condo, she sees these red heels. And she's like, "Oh, these are gorgeous. I should try them on." She's kind of like in a little bit of a trance. She's like, "No, these would never fit me. I have giant, ugly feet, and my mom is so cute and dainty. I would never fit into her shoes." And then she kind of blacks out. She wakes up. She's wearing her mother's silk dress and the red shoes. And it's the middle of the night, and she's like, "I should go on a walk." So she starts walking the cliffside that her mother had fallen off of. And before this point in the story, she's like, "I can't look at the ocean. I can't hear the ocean because it just reminds me of my mother's death." And now she's like, "Oh, I love the ocean. It's so beautiful." As she's walking, she comes across this like giant house on the cliffside, and there's beautiful landscaping. It's essentially an estate. And she gets drawn inside. She's let inside, and it's this party that's going on in there. And everyone in there is like a little bit off. They're saying weird things, like they're drinking red champagne and they're like, "Oh, it tastes of the stars." And they'll just say random things in French. And Maribel is like, "This is weird." And she ends up seeing this woman who was at her mom's funeral. And as she's going up the stairs to kind of talk to her because she was being summoned over, she's having a hard time making it up the stairs. She keeps falling and tripping, and just kind of like when you're in a dream and you're trying to run and you can't. That's happening. And she finally makes it up the stairs. She apologizes for being such a klutz. And the woman is like, sometimes the first steps are the hardest in your journey. And Mirabelle is like, yeah, totally. She's trying to play it cool without being like, I have no idea where I am or what's going on, but like not doing a great job of it. The woman that she's talking to, the woman in red, she's like, oh, you are daughter of Noel. And these two beautiful, stunning twins behind her are like, ah, oh, yes, daughter of Noel. We love you. We love Noel and we love you. And kind of like love bombing her a little bit, kind of like being weird. And Mirabelle is like, oh my God, you were friends of my mother. And they're like, yes, 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 we were. We love Noelle. You are daughter of Noelle, and we love you, daughter. So after talking to her, they lead her down to the depths. And Noelle is like, I don't know what that is, but I guess I have no survival instinct. So she goes down with them, and there's a few people that they take down. And it's these giant aquarium tanks full of red jellyfish. And she's looking at the jellyfish, and she catches her reflection. And she has no wrinkles. She doesn't have the scar on her forehead she's had since she was a kid. All of her like crow's feet are gone, and as she looks around, she's not seeing this and everyone else's reflections, but she sees everyone else like tearing up, so she knows they must be seeing the same thing. And through this jellyfish tank, she sees this man that she recognizes from the hotel that she's staying with. So she goes and kind of like corners him and is like, I know you, what are you doing here? And he's like, you don't know me, and now is not a good place to talk. Stop following me. And then she continues following him down this hallway that they're clearly not supposed to be down. And he's like, I told you to stop following me. He then sees some people coming, so he starts making out with her to like make them not suspicious. I don't know. That happens. We don't find out how she gets home. She just wakes up and she's home. And she's kind of in a daze. She doesn't remember how she got home either. While she's there, she decides that, oh, I guess it's time to pack up. This kind of like housekeeper, landscaper guy is like, oh, I know an antique dealer. We should take some of your mom's old stuff there so we can get rid of it. And she's like, yeah, sounds good, but is also like in a daze. While they're on the way to the antique dealer, Maribel realizes she didn't do her skincare routine that night or this morning. She's in such a daze, and she's like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is the worst thing to ever happen. They end up getting to the antique dealer, and as they start going through the stuff to get rid of, the woman in red shows up and starts walking around, and she's just like sniffing everything. Very strange. And she catches Mirabelle. She's like, daughter of Noel, how are you? Yes, I love you. Don't forget that I love you. You deserve a free treatment because we love Noel and we miss her, and we love you, daughter of Noel. And she gives her this voucher. Mirabelle gets the voucher and kind of has a little bit of a breakdown, and she's like, I can't sell my mother's stuff. I'm not giving any of this away. We have to go. Eventually that night, she goes back to the house that's up on the cliffside to get her treatment. And while she's there, she runs into the man from the hotel again. He's like, oh, you must be lost. And she's like, no, I'm not lost. But she's like kind of lost. She's like, why can't I find this house like last time? So he walks her to the house. He's trying to get information about like what she's doing there, what's happening there. And she's like, I don't know, I'm just kind of along for the ride. But she doesn't tell him that, of course. She gets there. Everyone's so excited to see her. Everyone's saying, oh, daughter of Noel, I love you. I love you, Noel, daughter of Noel. She gets to the house and everyone's so excited to see her. They take her down to a treatment room. She gets down there. There's another person in the waiting room. She kind of tries to figure out what is going on, like what the treatment is, because it seems like this woman has gotten it before. And she's like, oh my God, you look so radiant. So like, what is this? Is this electrocurrents? Is this a facial? And the woman is like, everyone's journey is unique. So they start doing normal facial treatment things. They give her a good double wash. They give her a face mask, and they pull out a bright light to shine onto her face to get a look at her skin. And the esthetician lady is like, oh, things are not looking good, Mirabelle. And she's like, oh no, what's wrong? Is there a lot of congestion? Do you need to do extractions? I can take it. I am a pro at this. I love skincare. And the esthetician is like, you could call it that. And it's like, bad memories, they show on our face. How attached are you to your bad memories? And Mirabelle's like, Not at all. Do what you need to do. So they put these discs on her temples and she starts to remember like negative memories from her childhood. Every time she wakes up from one of these treatments, she's kind of in a daze. While she's getting these extractions done, she remembers looking in a specific mirror. While her mom's away in her mom's closet, she puts on these red shoes and her mom's second best red lipstick because she always has her number one with her. And looking in the mirror and just trying to look beautiful, trying to look like her mom and never looking like her mom. And in the mirror, she sees Tom Cruise, who comes out of the mirror and talks to her and tells her that she's beautiful and that her mother's jealous and her mother is stealing her beauty from her. He also says his name is not Tom Cruise and that his name is Seth, but Mirabelle only refers to him as Tom Cruise. He kind of just starts to grow envy within Mirabelle towards her mother, for her mother being so beautiful and Mirabelle not looking like her at all, and has her come up with this plan to get roses from her best friend's yard and to crush up those roses and put them in her mother's perfume in her lingerie drawer and her face cream because her mom's allergic to roses. He tells her that this is just going to show her what it's like to be Mirabelle, to feel the pain that Mirabelle feels. What ends up happening though is she's allergic to them. She has a terrible reaction and leaves to the hospital. Mirabelle is distraught because she's like, oh my god, I tried to kill my mom, and is incredibly apologetic, kind of admits to her mom that she did this, and then her mom leaves for California. Mirabelle stays in Canada where she was living at the time and then starts living with her grandmother. Mirabelle is distraught and believes her mom doesn't love her anymore. And it's so sad. All of this comes out over the span of a few extractions, and after each one, Mirabelle wakes up even more confused, even more disoriented. She's forgetting words, she's using the wrong words, she's clearly out of it. She also cannot stop looking at herself in the mirror. Every time she walks past a mirror, she's distracted. She sees her mother a lot of the time. She keeps talking about how she has this wonderful glow, this wonderful brightening. And as she gets more and more treatments done, instead of saying brightening, she starts saying whitening. Mirabelle gets her last treatment and she wakes up. And she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she is. She knows nothing. She remembers nothing. Her mind is a vast, empty lake, she keeps saying. And she starts talking to the woman next to her, and this woman next to her also doesn't know who she is, where she is, anything that's going on. They're all kind of in this trance and confused, but they also all look so beautiful that that's what they're most focused on. Their skin is perfect. Everything is great. The woman in red leads them all out to a different room, gives them all dresses to change into in silver platters, and tells them that it's time for a feast. They go up to what I imagine the rooftop. I don't know if that's how it was described, but there's this big banquet table with a whole bunch of people wearing veils there. They welcome in an esteemed guest, someone who planted one of the first roses to get them ready for this point. And they bring out Seth/Tom Cruise. And Mirabelle remembers him. And she like drops her platter. She like kind of freaks out. And everyone's just laughing at her. And they say it's time for the feast. They pick one of the girls and they give her a net. And they have her go and get a jellyfish out of the giant tank. She grabs it, she puts it on the platter, brings it to the table, and everyone starts ripping into it. All of the people in veils. They're ravenous. They are ripping it apart with their bare hands. And the woman who scooped it up is screaming like she's being ripped apart. People are holding her up so she doesn't collapse, and she's just endlessly screaming. After they finish eating that jellyfish, they take her somewhere else. We don't see her ever again. Then Seth, Tom Cruise, says that they're still hungry. They want more. So they call Mirabelle up. They tell her that everyone has their own jellyfish and it's their soul. And you can only catch your own jellyfish. And her mom's is in there too because she died before they got to this point. And it's such a waste. It's such a waste. So they think that Mirabelle can get both of them. She goes over, the two jellyfish swim up to the surface just like for the woman before. But instead of swimming into the net like they did for the woman before, they kind of like dodge it a little bit. And people are getting impatient. The woman in red is getting mad because everyone's getting impatient. And Mirabelle kind of just comes to her senses a little bit, and she's like, no, I don't want to do this. I feel bad about this. She's still so confused. She still has no idea what's going on. The woman in red keeps like inching towards her and is like, we can't force you. Everyone has free will. But like, do they? And Mirabelle is like unconsciously taking steps back. She has on these red heels again that they couldn't take off of her. They were stuck on her feet. She takes one too many steps back and she falls into the tank. The jellyfish kind of swarm her and bring her down to the bottom, and they start breathing for her and they're saving her. There are people downstairs at a party on the ground floor, and the tank cuts through the whole house. So they see her falling down and they start like throwing things at the tank, trying to save her, and she's just going down. She can breathe because of the jellyfish. They lead her to this grate at the very bottom and they're like, free us, help us. You have fingers, we don't. And she struggles with it, but she eventually opens the grate and it takes them out to the sea. And then the jellyfish bring her up to the surface. As they're coming up, they're turning into the people that whose souls they are, and swimming away, going away, and thanking her for freeing them. They're obviously dead. They're not real people. They're like the ghosts of these people, until the only one left is the jellyfish ghost spirit of Mirabelle's mom. She brings her to the shore and essentially tells her that, like, I am so sorry. I was doing the best that I could to protect you and to be good for you, but I messed up and I made things worse and I don't know what to do and I wish I could have fixed it, but I was doing the best I could. And after kind of telling her this, she also goes away. Mirabelle is found on the beach and kind of brought in by one of her mother's good friends, and she realizes that this woman is not a terrible person like she thought before, and starts accepting the support of the people around her in her grief. And it is just like a beautiful story. It's weird, especially the Seth Tom Cruise part. It's like meant to be your own thoughts reflected back to you, the worst parts of yourself reflected back to you, and like also maybe commentary on grooming. And like, is it in her head or did it actually happen? It definitely has that like surrealist aspect of it. But this is another book that was not about the beauty industry. It was about so much more than that. I remember last time I read it, I was just annoyed at the Tom Cruise part. And like, honestly, it is a little bit stupid and there are some like characters that don't need to be there. But this is like a much more beautiful story than people give it credit for. Maybe it's just like a mother apologizing for fucking you up that like got me. But oh my god. I don't remember it being that emotional at the end. That's that. For people who don't want spoilers, Rouge is a story about a woman who is deep in grief, who is dealing with some mommy issues after her mother died, and kind of gets pulled into this beauty skincare cult as commentary on the whitewashing in the beauty industry, in identity, in race and ethnicity, in grief. It is a much more emotional story. If you've read other Mona Awad books, this one is definitely much more personal than I would say Bunny or even All's Well. You can definitely tell that she put a lot of herself in Mirabelle, and that the relationships with her mother was shaped off of her own personal relationships with her mother, who were not nearly as fraught as this one. She mentions that in the acknowledgments. But you can tell that this is a very emotional story for her, and I feel bad because I feel like this book committed the sin of not being Bunny. So people didn't like it. They didn't see it for what it is. They wanted it to be something else, and I'm guilty of that. The first time I read it, I was a little disappointed, but upon reread, this book is so good. This book is incredible. My plan is to read Natural Beauty next. I was going to read it on my Kobo. I have it downloaded, but I do have less than a month to knit a baby blanket, and I am the slowest knitter in the world, so I'm hoping the audiobook for it comes in soon so I can get started on that, and I will check in with you guys once I'm done. Dude, my allergies are killing me. If my eye is red and crazy, like, it's okay. I'm doing okay. Hello, I'm back. I finished Natural Beauty, and for some reason, can't remember a single thing that happened in it. Finished it yesterday. None of this book stuck in my mind. Saying none of it is dramatic. I do remember some of it, so I do have notes. Embarrassing. I read this over the span of 2 days. Finished it yesterday. Don't remember what happened. I don't know why I can't remember it. I'm also listening to a book right now Cannot tell you a single thing that happened. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. I'm absorbing none of it. I'm reading a book and I do reading it with my eyeballs. Do know what's happening in that one. Anyways, we're gonna get into what happened in the book. This book opens up with our unnamed main character. She's the child of two Chinese immigrants and like kind of a piano prodigy. Her parents are piano teachers and eventually they start teaching her and she is so good she gets noticed on YouTube and gets a sponsored scholarship at a prestigious music conservatory in New York City. She goes there. She doesn't have too hot of a time. She's the youngest person to ever be accepted, and obviously the youngest person attending. And she's really good, and it makes the other students really jealous because she is like favorited because she's really great. So they like kind of bully her, which I cannot imagine being an 18-year-old bullying like a 12-year-old. I don't remember exactly how old she is, but it's like, bro, grow up. Because she's not having too hot of a time there, she like mainly looks forward to when her parents come to visit. They come down to a recital like once a year because it's really expensive. And she looks forward to that day because she loves her parents so much. It is genuinely so sweet to read a book with a good relationship between a young woman and her parents. That doesn't happen often in the books I read. So they come to her recital. They feel super out of place and self conscious because they speak with thick accents. The mother's English isn't great, and their clothes aren't as great as everyone else's. And it's just like really sad to read. But our main character does not care at all. She's just happy they're there. While everyone else goes out to expensive restaurants after their recital, they go back to her like dorm room and they brought food from home and they're all hanging out and eating and they're like, okay, it's getting late, it's time for me to go. Our main character is like, no, please stay just a little bit longer because she has such a terrible time. And her parents were like, okay, we'll stay just a little bit longer. And they stay until she falls asleep. She wakes up early in the morning and is like feeling good because she just spent a lot of time with her parents. And she goes to a practice room to start playing and someone busts in and is like, oh my god, I have been looking for you everywhere. I have to tell you about your parents. We find this out later in the story, but just to make it easier, recap wise, we find out her parents got in a terrible car accident and will not recover, like cognitively and physical abilities will not come back. So she has to quit piano so she can get a job to support their like long-term care facility because they didn't have a lot of money saved up. They were kind of living paycheck to paycheck. So because she doesn't have like traditional schooling, she didn't finish out her conservatory, she's really only able to get like low paying entry level jobs and most of her money goes towards her parents' care. So she's like not eating enough and also living in the dingiest, grimiest basement with like the worst roommates in the world, as you do. So because she's living in this absolutely disgusting basement, she likes to go on like the apps to meet people and then she'll hook up with them so that they can use their shower in like a comfy bed. And so she does that. She matches with some dude, goes over to his house, has mediocre sex, and then is like, oh my god, can I please take a shower? Like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And he's like, yeah, points her to the direction of the bathroom. She goes in the bathroom. A gorgeous girl is just sitting in the bathtub, and she's like, oh my god, hey, you must be here with my brother. You want the shower, don't you? And just fully naked gets out of the bathtub and is like, the shower is tough sometimes, like let me help you, and like sets up the shower and then it's like, toodaloo. Girl, to be that hot and confident, I wish. She has a job as a dishwasher and just like is perpetually burning her hands and like the skin is like falling off. It's gross. While she's working, a like beautiful stunning woman comes in and is like, oh my god, I recognize you. I am a big supporter of the arts and I used to go to your shows at the conservatory. She's like, what are you doing here? Do you still play piano? And she's like, no, not at all. And she's like, well, this place must be paying you good if you're here not doing your talents. And she's like, no, it doesn't. So she's like, you should come work at Holistic. Come by tomorrow, wear long sleeves. There was a point to the long sleeves. I don't remember what it was. Also, this woman's name is Sage, spelled Sage. So she goes to Holistic, and everything there is beautiful, expensive, including the saleswoman. So she immediately feels out of place. But Sage is like, oh my God, welcome in, starts showing her around, telling her about the products, and introduces her to Lilith, I believe. None of the names really stuck except Sage, because that's crazy spelling. Anyways, Lilith, who's like the manager of the store, who is like immediately cold, gives her the rundown, shows her like the sales area, which is like the ground floor, and then takes her down into like the basement, which is like the treatment area, and then also like the product development area, kind of. And there's also like a lab that's always locked, only the scientists can go in there. And then like the treatment area are like pods and stuff like that for people to go into, and then like the product making area, it's not super clear. I don't think this is a me thing, it could be, but the treatments are insane. It's like, oh yeah, there's this treatment where you put down like a bed of genetically engineered crabs and then some compost made from like the remains of all the other beauty product stuff that we make, but it's like dirt because everything's organic, and then worms, and then it's supposed to like extract the toxins. Anyways, weird. So like working there is like kind of gross because you're like, oh, let me go into the pit of eels, let me clean out this snake tank. Anyways, she's given that whole tour, and then is given a like shitload of products and a necklace that'll like glow and remind you to take these like vitamins that they give you, and all of this stuff is like modified to her. The lab takes her DNA. Totally normal thing for your workplace to do. And our girl does not question a single thing she's given. She doesn't ask what the multivitamins are. She doesn't ask what the skincare stuff does. She's just like, beautiful. Can't wait to get home and slather this stuff on my body and ingest it. Also, while she's there, I believe it's Sage tells her, like, as you can tell, we prioritize a diverse staff. Our main character looks around and she's like, everyone is blonde hair, blue eyed, but okay. And then she gets told that sometimes the clients, might speak to her slowly or be a little bit weird because they might not think that she speaks English, but just go along with it because if you make them uncomfortable, you won't make the sale. Your main character is like, I can be a perfect minority. Do not you worry. The sales I'm going to make. Internally, she's like, that's fucked up, but you get the point. After working for a couple days, she goes to visit her parents in their care facility, and she walks in, and the woman at the front desk like clearly knows her and is like, girl, you are so behind on payments and I'm doing everything I can to keep them here, but if you don't pay, we're gonna have no option. And she's like, I just got a new job, like things are looking up, like do not worry, I'll get this figured out soon. And she's like, okay, like glad to hear it. And then she goes in to talk to her parents. She goes in, she tells them all about her new job, like rubs lotion on their hands, leaves some products for them, and also gives the nurses some multivitamins from Holistic. And her parents are like comatose almost. They don't react to her coming in, they don't move, they don't speak, they're just there. And she doesn't stay long because it's terribly sad, of course. And yeah, it's terrible. After visiting her parents, she goes into work, and the sister of the guy she hooked up with is in the store, like playing music from her last recital, the one that her parents died afterwards. And our main character is like, first of all, what is she doing here? And then, oh my God, I'm traumatized because this recital killed my parents, essentially, and she passes out. After she comes to, the girls are like helping her out, and the sister is like, oh my God, I thought I recognized you when you came over, and then when Lilith was telling me about you being the new like employee, I was like, oh my God, I do know her. And then decided to play the song for everyone. It's a little contrived. And then our main character is like, what are you doing here though? And she's like, oh, I make the ceramics that all of the products go in, and my uncle dad, he like raised her, and my uncle like owns the place. And she's like, okay, nepotism, slay. This happens, and then Sage like runs over and is like, "Oh my god, girl, are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I don't really know why I passed out. It was just like shock." She's like, "Oh, I'm not talking about that. Your biostats are off the charts from earlier today." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" Turns out the necklace for the multivitamins also like tracks your biometrics. So she could tell that she was like stressed, and she's like, "You need to go downstairs for a treatment." So she goes downstairs, and the like, I want to say the HR lady essentially like straps her into this massage chair, and she's like, "Oh my god, this is so nice. Thank you. I needed this." And then and starts massaging down there, and our girl is like, "This is uncomfortable." And the chair malfunctions. If she thought that was uncomfortable, HR lady starts molesting her. And I was like, I know it sucks to do this manually. I don't like it either, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. And she's like, "Okay, I guess I have to come." So that happened. She goes upstairs, and Sage is like, "Oh my god, first time in the chair. Isn't it great? Us girls, we're hardworking and we don't take care of ourselves. So sometimes we have to make time for it." She's like, "What the fuck?" Later, she's hanging out with Sage and Lilith, I think. Or maybe it's Lilith and some of the other girls. I can't remember. But they're essentially like, if you put Vaseline on it, it'll keep your stats at baseline. So everyone gets assaulted at this workplace. So she's working there for a couple weeks by this point, and she starts to notice changes. Like one day she knees herself in the face because her legs are just like suddenly longer, and her legs are like slimmer. Her limbs in general are just longer and slimmer. She notices her like cheeks have like filled out, and her chin is less sharp or more sharp. I don't know the beauty standards. I can't remember. And like her nose has more structure. And then one day she wakes up and like she cannot open her eyes because it's like too much skin. So she tries to call out, and Sage or Lilith, I cannot remember which one, is like, "Oh, you can't open your eyes. Let me guess, you should come into work." And so she goes in and she shows her how to like massage her extra eyelid and then like fold it in so she has like double eyelids instead of a monolid. They're turning her white. Her skin lightens, her roots start coming in lighter, her eyes are turning blue. Like it's just that's what it is. And she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so pretty." She like notices it's weird and doesn't quite notice the extent that it's happening, either because she knows she needs this job and money and confronting that is difficult, or she's just like kind of blinded by the luxury of these products. Her not noticing it sounds crazy, and like she does notice the changes. I think she doesn't quite notice or acknowledge that they're just turning her white. She's at work, and Lilith or Sage, kind of in the work environment, they're the same person to me. They don't separate as people until later in the book. In my brain, which is not at fault of the author. They are very different characters. My brain just is not working this week. She asks if she can stay late to do a treatment for a couple that's coming in, and then like lock up the shop after. And she's like, "Yeah, no problem. I've locked up before." And she's like, "By the way, this couple is a friend of Victor, who's the owner of the shop." And she's like, "So we kind of let them get away with stuff." She's like, "Okay, girl, just tell her they're gonna have sex in the pod and not to worry about it. Just tell her that." Anyways, they come in, she steps up, she starts hearing weird noises. They're doing weird sexual shit. They're doing the treatment with the crab and the worms and the dirt, and I'm pretty sure they're putting worms up her. So that happens. She's like, "Oh my god, this is wildly uncomfortable." The boundaries at this workplace are nowhere to be found. Eventually, they leave. While she's in the process of cleaning up, she keeps hearing noises and is like freaked out and thinks that someone is in the store. And she's like, "I'm just gonna leave now. I'm gonna come back early tomorrow and finish cleaning up." But she notices the like science room area is unlocked. And she's like, "Is there someone in there?" Also, I'm so curious to see what's in there. So she goes in, and the animals in there are not doing hot. There's like a dead axolotl like floating in its cage. There's a monkey with like vomit all down its front freaking out, and like a bunch of snakes trying to like escape from their area, and I think like eels too trying to escape. and she is disgusted. Like it's gross in there. So she runs out, she throws up, she hears a noise, she gets knocked out. She's like kind of in and out of consciousness, and she's like in a car going somewhere and doesn't really know what's happening. She wakes up and she's in this like glass house, like this house with like giant windows, seemingly in the middle of the woods. She keeps seeing like animals outside and they're like kind of looking at her. And then she runs into Sage. And instead of being like, "Where am I? Why did you kidnap me?" She's like, "Oh my God, Sage, hey." And Sage is like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're awake. I have to go run some errands so you can hang out here. We're actually on a federal reserve or a natural reserve. And there's this like really cool path that you should walk." And she just kind of is like, "Yeah, cool," and plans on just doing nothing while Sage is out. And Sage is out, "No, you should really go check it out," and like pushes her out the door. So she's like forced to walk down this path. And as she's walking, she comes to like this sand pit area, and there's a bunch of ditches and like big ass birds flying around. And she's like, "Vibes are off here." And then vibes get worse because a whole bunch of deer like surround her and are staring her down. And she's like, "I don't like this." So she's freaked out. She starts walking back to the house, and the deer are following her. So she sprints back. She gets inside. All the deer are looking at her through the giant windows. And she's like, "I need a room with no windows." So she walks around this house and she eventually finds like a surveillance room. So she goes in there because there's no windows. And when she does that, she sees Sage and Victor get to the house. She pulls out, Sage does, this like remote control thing. And I can't remember if it's lights or like mirrors that concentrate the light, but she moves this contraption around that then concentrates lights into one of these pits. And these giant birds come around and start circling the pits and like going in and eating out of these pits. And she's like, "Oh." It's alluded that it's like bodies in there. I don't think it's straight out said that it's bodies, but like it's bodies in there. And our girl is freaked out. She cannot stop watching. And then she hears Sage and Victor come in, and she's like, "I don't think I was supposed to see that." So she goes into a different room and they find her, and she's like, "Oh my God, are you ready to go back to Holistic?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, plays it off, is clearly freaked out. She gets dropped off at Holistic, even though she's like not working that day. And the girls working are like, "Girl, you left this place a mess last night. Like, kind of fuck you." And she's like, "Okay, whatever. I'm just here to pick up more product because I'm running low at home." She gets a call from the care facility, and they're like, "Your parents are like making a recovery. Like, their tests are coming back fantastically. Like, we never expected this." And she goes to visit them, and like to her, they're kind of the same, but I guess like their actions while she's not there are different. And she talks to them some more, hangs out. They tell her again that that she's behind on payments, and like they can really only help her out for another couple weeks. Like, the girl who works there who's helping her out, she's like, "My job is on the line. Like, we have to, something needs to get fixed." So the next time she goes into work, she goes to Sage and she's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I'm wondering if there's any way that I can take more shifts, work more hours, like any other way I can make money." And Sage is like, "Oh my God, perfect. I've been meaning to talk to you. Let's go out to lunch." They go out to lunch, and we also learned that our main character, she isn't working weekends at this point. She's only working weekdays because they were like, sometimes the only thing between a sale and not a sale is the customer not knowing how to talk to you, how to address you. And because your name is so hard to pronounce, you should pick a different name. And she's like, "What? Okay, okay, what?" And Sage is like, "Don't worry, other people in the store have as well," and like lists off these names that do not sound like classic white American names. She comes to the conclusion that these other girls working at the store are not white. And when she confronts one of them about it, who has like a Chinese name, she's like, "Oh, I haven't gone by that in years." So they're just like fully erasing race and ethnicity from everyone at the store to make them like ideal beauty to sell this product. Anyways, she is out to lunch with Sage, and Sage is like, "What did you see when you were at my house? And don't lie to me because we had cameras everywhere." And she's like, "Well, I saw birds eating bodies, and you kind of led the birds there." And she's like, "Okay, that's what I thought you saw. Girl, you saw her watching it in the security room. But what you saw, like, it's not what it looks like. The land that this is on and the land that our farm is on is like indigenous land, and they prefer sky burials. So we told them that if they work on the farm, they can still have their like cultural burial because we're so cool and ethical. Like, forcing indigenous people to do labor for you so that they can practice their spiritual beliefs is ethical, but it's okay. It's okay. That's the point of the book. That is the point of the book. And then she's like, if you're not cool with that, we will have to fire you though. And if you tell anyone, we'll also have to fire you. And she's like, it's okay. It's okay. You're actually so cool and ethical. And then Sage is like, okay, well, we also do have some opportunities for you to make some more money. We have another company that I cannot remember the name of right now, and we can get you started working there. And then gives her no details and is like, come at night, and gives her the location. She goes to this new place. She's talking with Sage. Sage is essentially like, this is all 100% organic, ethical work. And our girl is like, okay. And Sage is like, we pay a full year's salary for only working 2 days a week, and we provide full benefits for you and all your family members, including a private hospital. And her main character is like, fuck it. This sounds great for my parents. I'll do it. They take her to this lake to like introduce her to who is essentially the house mom, and then have her go swimming in the lake, butt ass naked. And then afterwards, she gets taken to these like stylists that rub this cream all over her body. They put on makeup, they put some product in her hair to make it look dark again. And they're like, we have a client for you who always loves something new. Come this way. And leads her through like decontamination because everything's so ethical and cool and everything's great. And when she's going through that, she gets like kind of dizzy, and then she just fully blacks out. She wakes up in her bed at home. She is bleeding, and she has like black seeds that she has to like scoop out of. And she's like, I did not like that at all. But she feels like she has to do it for her parents. I'm skipping a bunch of stuff here because it's just like a lot of the same stuff. Like, her body is changing. She's hanging out with Helen and Lilith. One thing I will point out is that they go to like this rave thing, and Helen is like, do you want some drugs? And our main character is like, I love being wanted. So she says yes. And then our girl, not our main character girl, Helen, it's like a bomb that she puts on her hands and then puts up her vagina. And then she's super high. And I'm like, what are the boundaries? Why is this book so sexual? I don't remember this at all. I do think I listened to it while I was at work the first time, so I might have just blocked it out. I was like, this is not workplace appropriate. I was farming at the time, so it's not like I was like sitting at my desk job with like coworkers right next to me. I was not fucking. I was out in the fields. Some weeks pass, she gets a call from the facility being like, your parents are going downhill fast. We do not know what is going on. So she goes to visit them, and they're just like convulsing and they're not eating food anymore. So she has like a week in a haze with them, just like trying to take care of them. Helen at this point is her bestie. They're hanging out like weekly, they're best friends. And so Helen comes by to spend some time with her and is like a little bit weird about it. Like, there's clearly something that's bothering her that she's not saying anything about. After about a week, she has to go back to work. She goes in, and I believe it's Lilith is like, how are your parents? How's that going? And she's like, they have no idea what's wrong with them. Like, freaked out. Things are not good. And she's like, that's weird. The doctors don't know what's wrong with Helen either. She was like, I had no idea Helen was sick. That's like what she was hiding from her. After work, she goes to her work job. Essentially, same thing happens. She bathes in the pond. They slather like body cream all over her again. They don't turn her hair black or put her in makeup this time, but she goes through like decontamination and gets dizzy and like kind of blacks out. She does like wake up for a second, and it's like very medical environment. She's like not sure what's happening. and then she passes out again, but like is super uneasy about it. She wakes up when she's being dropped off by like a private car at her apartment. At some point, her and Lilith go to visit Helen, and she is clearly unwell. She is like basically unconscious on the floor with a pile of vomit next to her. Her hair is falling out in clumps, and they're like, this is not good. And she goes to their like private hospital. After this, they go to Lilith's. That's tough to say, don't mind me. And she's essentially like, I used to be a journalist, and the only reason I work at Holistic is because I think they're doing something sketchy. But I got fired from every journalism job I ever had because my articles kept getting knocked down and like rejected because Victor owns essentially all of them. And Victor is also her uncle. Helen is her cousin. It's a little more complicated than that. But our main character is like, yeah, things are weird with the sex work side too. I don't think that it's what they say it is. And she's like, oh no, things are worse than I initially thought. She also alludes to, and by she I mean Lilith, also alludes to like Holistic being the thing that is killing Helen. Eventually, Helen dies. We find this out because they go to like the morgue to see her. And I think that the only point of this scene is to like really hit home how much our main character has changed. There is no reason for them to look exactly the same, except for the fact that everything about her is different, and all of the holistic products are turning people into essentially copies of her. After the whole Helen fiasco, she gets a call from the specialist being like, hey, you guys aren't white. Do you partake in any weird cultural food things? Our main character is like, mooncakes, and he's like, no, human flesh. And she's like, what the fuck? No, my parents are not cannibals. And he's like, well, they had kuru, which is a like prion disease that you get through cannibalism. Which, side tangent, I thought that kuru happened when it was like multiple generations of cannibalism. I thought it wasn't like a one and done thing. I thought it was like compounding. Like, I could be wrong, but if that's a plot hole, I'll let it slide. And she's like, I have no idea how they could have gotten that. And they were like, there was human remains in the multivitamins they were eating. And he was like, we tested like off the shelf vitamins, and there was no human flesh in there. These were actually completely different, entirely different, despite having the same like label. And she was like, oh my god, Holistic is feeding me corpses, probably from the bird pit. She goes to work, she does her things, and eventually she has to go back to the sex work gig. She gets there and she's like, I need to figure out what is actually happening. So before she goes, she rubs like a salve that her mom made all over her body, like hoping that the like cream, if there's something in that, that'll stop it from like getting into her bloodstream through her skin. And then she holds her breath as she goes through like the decontamination thing, and it works. Like, she's fully conscious, and it's what she thought. It's like a medical setting, it's not work. And she like hears this drilling, and I don't know if we learn it here or like in a couple minutes, but learns that they're like trying to implant sperm that's like squid and human hybrid into her to get her pregnant. No, not what she signed up for. But Sage comes in and is like, you have to stop. She is no longer a good candidate. And the doctor is like, come on, this is my life's work. I swear it's gonna work this time. No empathy in sight. And she's like, no, she's a bad candidate. We can't do it anymore. So they like go to take her. They're like, we have to take her to the pits, meaning like the sand pits with the birds. So she like freaks out. She stops pretending to be unconscious and tries to run away. And they get her, they like knock her out, probably drug her. And she wakes up and she's in the pits, I believe, with Lilith and like some of the other girls that they worked with. She sheer willpowers out of the pit and runs over to the contraption that lights up the pits for the birds to eat out of, manhandles it so that it's on Victor and Sage, and like burns the shit out of her hands. They're like essentially melting and fusing together because the contraption is super hot from like baking out in the sun, and also maybe from being an electronic. I don't know if it's a light or mirrors. She like burns the shit out of them and then passes out because she is in so much pain. And when she wakes up, she's like in a hospital setting, and she's like one of the nurses. She's like, "You're a hero. You like exposed what was happening." And she's like, "Cool, but what is wrong with me?" Because her hands are like fused together, and her skin is like a blue green, and she also has a whole bunch of like excess skin. So she's looking like a monster. She eventually gets out of the hospital. She still looks super fucked up, but she's like not dying anymore. We find out that she really likes to volunteer at the facility her parents used to be, because the people there are usually like so old and so far gone, they don't really notice that she's super disfigured. So she feels like normal there. Someone who is a client there, patient, I don't know what it is Sage. Now, Sage is 70. I don't know if this is a time jump or if Sage has always been old and it's the holistic products that made her look beautiful and young. Not that you can't be beautiful at 70. You get what I'm saying. She walks in and essentially is like, "Are you sorry?" Like, that was super fucked up. We find out that she didn't go to jail at all because she pled insanity and was found like mentally unfit. So she essentially got off scot-free. And we get like some fun lore from Sage. Some may call this an exposition dump, but I enjoyed it. I'm not going to be a hater about this. And we learn that all of the girls that work at Holistic, especially the like work part of it, were like curated and groomed for this. Victor was our girl sponsor for her conservatory and actually had her put on like private recitals for him, and like kind of fostered her like prodigy. He also like manufactured the meeting of her and the brother and Helen and subsequently Sage by like making the dating app, and it wasn't public for everyone. It was like just public for the people that they wanted to capture. We do find out Helen had no idea what was happening at all. So we love Helen to the end, and we're so sad that she died of Kuru. When she asks about the like work situation, she was like, "Was there ever any actual work?" And she was like, "Well, the first night, Victor likes doing that, but it's hard to please him because he likes them much younger. Um, so Victor's a and probably assaulted her at her like childhood recitals at the conservatory. Disgusting. Oh my god, and the way Sage says this, she's like, he likes them younger, but everyone has their faults. Girl, pedophilia is not a fault, it's a crime. But yeah, so all these people are like curated and groomed for this, and they're also like made so that they don't have like family or community, so that they feel love bombed and manipulated and feeling like they can't leave, which is exactly what happened with our main character. She was like, "I have to do this for my parents." And then was also just like, "I love having this community. I love having these girls who are my friends. I love feeling like I belong. I love feeling like the hot girls." So we learn the whole entire thing is incredibly evil. The whole like squid sperm situation is they were trying to come up with a way to become pregnant and it not affect your body at all. So that people who want to be pregnant but don't want to because they're scared of like all the body changes and mood changes and all of that don't have to be scared of that anymore, because that will happen. And also to do like some sort of like unknown surrogacy. I think that the girls that they were experimenting on were never going to be told that they were pregnant, and they would just like at one of their weekly shifts give birth under the days and then be given to the people who paid for it. And the reason that they did like groom prodigy into all of them is because they wanted them to be like good picks that their wealthy clients would like. So it's like, "Oh, they pick her because she was a prodigy pianist and I want that." diabolical, the entire thing. Hello, I was editing and I realized I didn't give a spoiler free recap of Natural Beauty. This book is about our unnamed main character. She's Chinese American and gets plucked from her dishwashing job to work at this like really high-end, expensive beauty, skincare, wellness company. This book is about whitewashing in the beauty industry on the surface, but it's so much more than that. It's about manipulation and consent and women's issues, and I can't say too much because it'll spoil it. This book is more than what it's marketed as, and that's purposeful. It packs more of a punch if you don't really know what it's about. This book does get icky and gross. It is very much about manipulation. So if that is something that you are sensitive to, I would look into trigger warnings. Also, if you're sensitive to like certain women's issues, I would look into trigger warnings as well, but I would also look into them with caution. You might spoil the book if you do this. And I know that people say that trigger warnings are not spoilers because if you're using a triggering event as a plot twist, that's not good writing. It was very intentional and well done in this book. I agree with that most of the time, but this book I take as an exception. If you have specific triggers, I would look into those specific ones and see if the book has them rather than like looking at a list of them. I don't personally look into trigger warnings myself for books, so I don't know if that type of resource exists. I'm sorry, or else I would point you in the direction of one. That is the last book I read for this little vlog about reading books about weird beauty stuff. Thank you for watching. I hope that you get a recommendation from this. Honestly, all 4 of these books I recommend. I thought they were all great. I thought that they all used the same topic to explore different things. They were all very different, and I thought that that was fun. I expected to kind of feel burnt out at the end of this, feeling like I read the same book 4 times, but not at all. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.